The question asks which equation represents the line that is perpendicular to the graph of 4x plus 3y equals 9 and passes through -2, 3. The answer choices are at the bottom, but we'll work it out up here. So the first thing I like to do is annotate the question, underlining keywords and phrases. So which equation represents the line that is perpendicular to the graph of 4x plus 3y equals 9 and passes through -2, 3. So we're looking for an equation to a line, and they have given us an actual equation. This is in standard form. And standard form is usually ax plus by equals c. That's standard form. So I want to look at this word perpendicular. Perpendicular deals with our slope of a line, our slope or our m. And to find the perpendicular slope, you would have to take the slope of the line, change the sign, and find the reciprocal, which means flipping the fraction. And here we are giving a point that the new line that we're trying to find is going to go through. So the first step is we need to change this equation from standard form into slope-intercept form. We cannot find the slope in this form. We can find the slope when it's in y-intercept form. And y-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. That's y-intercept form. So step one is to change that from standard form to y-intercept form so we can find the slope. So if we have 4x plus 3y equals 9, we need to get y alone. We need to get y by itself. So we're going to say minus 4x to both sides, minus 4x. That cancels out, leaving 3y is going to equal negative 4x plus 9. These are not like terms because this now minus 4x is its own term because this one does not have an x. We could only combine them if they were the same. We still do not have y by itself, so we're going to divide by 3, and divide by 3 to cancel this out. So y is going to equal negative 4/3 x plus 9 divided by 3, 3. So we need to identify our slope. So our slope is this m right here. Because this is also, y equals mx plus b, because this is your y-intercept, but we need to find our slope. So m equals negative 4/3. Now, let's find the perpendicular slope. That's our second step. I'm going to write 2 for our second step. So we're going to find the perpendicular slope. So if the current slope is negative 4/3, for the perpendicular slope, we need to change the sign. I'll just rewrite the notes here. Change sign and flip the fraction. So the perpendicular slope, we're going to change the sign. So if it's negative, it's going to be positive. And to flip the fraction, it's going to be 3/4. So now that we've found our perpendicular slope, we need to create our new line, because the question said which equation represents the line that is perpendicular to the graph of 4x plus 3y equals 9 and passes through negative 2, 3. So we're finding another line, right? So for our third step, we need to write the basic equation for a line in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. Okay, we know we're finding a new line. We just found the slope, the perpendicular slope, which is needed for this question. So if our perpendicular slope is 3/4, we're going to come up here and we're going to plug it in. 3/4. That's our slope for our new line that we are creating. Now, with this new line, I like to think of it as filling in our blanks to solve for a variable. Now, the question has given us a point, -2, 3. When looking at a point, our x is here and our y is here. So we're using the information from the question to get our answer. So now we're going to fill in our y. Do we have a y? Our y is now 3. 3 equals, I'll write it, 3/4. Do we have an x? It's provided here, -2. And do we have a y-intercept? No. So we're actually trying to find our y-intercept. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this right here. We're going to go ahead and multiply 3/4 times -2. So off to the side, we'll just kind of work it out over here. So we're going to say 3/4 times -2. We're going to put it over an imaginary 1. And that is 3 times -2 is -6. 4 times 1 is 4. And we can actually simplify this. 2 goes into both numbers, so if we're going to divide the top and the bottom by 2. -6 divided by 2 is -3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So right here we have -3/2. And we'll bring everything else down, plus b. Now, to get our b by itself, we need to add 3/2 to both sides. Add 3/2, add 3/2. Okay, I'm just going to kind of draw a line like this because we got to cancel this out, leaving b by itself. So 3 plus 3/2, we'll go ahead and work this one off to the side as well. So if we have 3 plus 3/2, and we're going to put our 3 over imaginary 1 because we're adding fractions. And to add fractions, we need to have the same denominator. Are they the same denominator? No. This is a 1. Now, how can we get the same denominator? If this is a 2, what can we multiply by both the top and the bottom to make this one equal 2? Multiply by 2. So I'm going to say times 2 times 2. So our new equation would look like 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 3 over 2. Because that one didn't change, just this one. Do we have the same denominator? Yes. So now let's go ahead and add it together. So 6 plus 3 would be 9. Same denominator, you just take that over, and 9/2. So b equals 9/2. So step 4, and we're almost done, would be to write your new line. The line that is perpendicular to this. the line that goes through these 2 points. So we're going to go ahead and fill it in. If we have y equals mx plus b, we have our new perpendicular slope here. We have our b, or our y-intercept, right here. So we're just going to fill those in. So it's going to be y equals 3/4 x plus 9/2. Now, when I look at my answers, I see that my answers are not in y-intercept form. This is y-intercept form. They actually put it back into standard form, the same way that they had actually given the original equation up here. So to get to standard form, let me go ahead and write what standard form looks like again, which is ax plus by equals c. We need to have our x over here, keeping our y here, and we have c on this side. So in rewriting this equation and solving for it, y equals 3/4x plus 9/2. What we would end up doing is we would have to subtract our 3/4 x to both sides. And that would end up looking like negative 3/4 x plus y equals, because that cancels out, 9/2. Now when it's in standard form, we cannot have a negative in the a place, and we cannot have a fraction. So to get rid of a fraction, we would have to multiply all of this by 4. So 4 times negative 3/4 would end up with negative 3. Negative 3x. 4 times y would be plus 4y equals 4 times 9/2. And we can even work that off to the side. We'll multiply again. So if we have 4 over our imaginary 1 times 9/2, 4 times 9 is 36, 1 times 2 is 2, 36 divided by 2 is 18. So we can write our 18 here. Now in our a place here, we are not allowed to have a negative. So to get rid of a negative, we have to multiply all of this by a -1, because multiplying it by a -1 changes all the signs, because it's -1 times -3 would be positive 3x. A -1 times a positive 4 would be negative 4y equals a -1 times 18 would be negative 18. And that would be your answer. And this one would match 3x minus 4y equals negative 18. So A would be your answer.